What if I told you that while the Montreal Canadiens are grinding through another rebuild season, the blueprint for their next championship core might already be taking shape on junior ice across Canada? This week's CHL Prospect games aren't just another showcase. They're a crystal ball into Montreal's future, and three names are absolutely screaming for attention from the Habs scouting department. Let's be brutally honest here. Montreal's rebuild has been methodical, sometimes painfully slow, but undeniably strategic. Kent Hughes and his scouting staff have shown they're not interested in flashy names that fade. They want substance, they want character, and they want players who fit a very specific mold. And right now, at the CHL Prospect Games, three players are checking boxes that should have every Canadiens fan leaning forward in their seats. Let me paint you a picture. 6'5", 225 pounds of pure, unadulterated power forward potential. That's Ivan Belchetz. And if you think size alone is what makes him special, you're missing the entire story. This kid isn't just big, he's productive. 16 goals and 12 assists in just 23 games for the Windsor Spitfires? At a 1.21 points per game pace from a player who's still learning how to fully weaponize that massive frame. The OHL is littered with big bodies who can't skate, can't shoot, and can't think the game. Belchetz does all three at an elite level for his age. Here's what should excite Montreal. This organization has been desperately searching for that perfect blend of size and skill since they drafted Uri Slavkovsky first overall in 2022. And while Slav is developing nicely, you can never have too many players who can dominate physically while still putting up points. Belchetz represents exactly that archetype. Watch him work the boards. Watch him protect the puck like it's welded to his stick. Watch him release that heavy, accurate shot from dangerous areas. This isn't some project player who might figure out in 5 years. This is a kid who's already showing NHL caliber tools right now. The Canadiens' playoff drought has been painful, and when they finally break through, they'll need players who can survive the physical gauntlet of postseason hockey. Belchetz is built for April and May hockey. He's built for grinding series against Boston and Tampa Bay. He's built for the moments when skill alone isn't enough. And here's the kicker. He's still raw. His ceiling? Astronomical. His floor? A third-line power forward who can chip in 15 to 20 goals while making life miserable for opposing defensemen. That's a pretty safe bet for a mid to late first-round pick, which is exactly where Belchetz is projected right now. Montreal's scouting staff needs to be all over this kid. Every shift, every battle, every shot. Because if Belchetz continues his trajectory, he won't be available when Canadiens pick, and that would be a massive missed opportunity. Now, let's talk about Ryan Roobroeck, a player who's already proven he can absolutely dominate at the junior level. Last season's numbers? 41 goals and 46 assists in 64 games. That's an 87-point pace that screams offensive upside. Sure, this season has started slower. 22 points in 22 games. But let's pump the brakes on any panic. That's still a point-per-game pace. And for a player who's being heavily scouted and facing top defensive matchups every single night, that production is nothing to sneeze at. At 6'4", Roobroeck brings a coveted combination of size and offensive instincts that modern NHL teams covet. He's not just a big body taking up space. He's a legitimate scoring threat who uses his frame intelligently. Watch how he protects the puck in the offensive zone. Watch how he creates space for line mates. Watch how he gets his shot off from seemingly impossible angles. The skating has improved, which was the biggest question mark heading into this season. If Roobroeck can continue refining his mobility while maintaining that offensive production, you're looking at a potential top 6 winger who can play a power game while still putting up 60 to 70 points at the NHL level. For Montreal, who's building an identity around speed and skill but desperately needs more size in their top 9 forward group, Roobroeck represents an intriguing option. He's not a project. He's a player who could potentially step into the NHL within 2 seasons if his development curve continues upward. The Canadiens have done well drafting skill forwards in recent years. Cole Caulfield, Uri Slavkovsky, Ivan Demidov. But they need more players who can win puck battles, establish net front presence on the power play, and wear down opponents over the course of a 7-game series. Roobroeck checks all those boxes while still possessing legitimate offensive upside. Here's the reality. If Roobroeck has a strong showing at the CHL Prospect Games and carries that momentum through the rest of the season, he could easily climb into the top 20 conversation. Montreal needs to be tracking him closely because players with his combination of size, production, and upside don't last long on draft day. And now we arrive at perhaps the most intriguing name on this list, Caleb Malhotra. Yes, that Malhotra, son of former Canadian center Manny Malhotra, who carved out a 16-year NHL career through intelligence, defensive responsibility, and sheer hockey IQ. The apple hasn't fallen far from the tree. Caleb is absolutely tearing up the OHL in his rookie season with the Brantford Bulldogs. 10 goals and 19 assists for 29 points in just 23 games. That a 1.26 points per game pace from a first-year draft-eligible player, which is genuinely elite production. But here's what separates Malhotra from other high-scoring junior players. The how matters as much as the how many. This kid doesn't just rack up points. He controls games. He manipulates defenders with patience and vision. He creates passing lanes that other players don't even see. He plays a complete 200-foot game that shows maturity far beyond his years. Sound familiar? It should, because that's exactly the type of center the Canadiens have been searching for to complement their skilled wingers. Nick Suzuki is the number one guy, but Montreal needs more depth down the middle, and Malhotra projects as exactly the type of intelligent, two-way center who can anchor a second line while contributing on both special teams units. The defensive responsibility is already there. The hockey IQ is off the charts. The playmaking ability is elite, and as he continues to fill out physically and gain experience, the offensive production should only increase. Montreal's prospect pool is loaded with skilled wingers and puck-moving defensemen, but they're relatively thin at center beyond Suzuki and a few question marks. Malhotra represents the type of player who could slide seamlessly into that organizational need while bringing a skill set that perfectly complements what the Canadiens are building. Here's a projection. If Malhotra continues this pace and shows well at events like the CHL Prospect Games, he's going to climb draft boards quickly. We could be looking at a late first-round pick, possibly even higher if he has a monster second half. And for Montreal, who typically picks in that range, Malhotra should be circled in red on every scouting report. The intangibles are there. The bloodlines are there. The production is there. The intelligence is there. This is a player who checks every single box for what modern NHL teams want as center, and the Canadiens would be foolish not to have him near the top of their draft board. Let's zoom out for a moment and talk about what these three players represent for Montreal's long-term vision. Kent Hughes and Jeff Gorton have been crystal clear about their rebuild philosophy. Draft well, develop patiently, and build through the pipeline. They're not interested in quick fixes or flashy moves that mortgage the future. They want sustainable success, and that means identifying the right players at the draft and giving them time to develop properly. Belchetz, Roobroeck, and Malhotra represent three distinct archetypes that all fit within Montreal's organizational needs. Belchetz is a power forward who can dominate physically while still contributing offensively, exactly what Montreal needs to complement their skilled, smaller forwards. Roobroeck is a proven producer with size who can play a top-six role while bringing a physical element. Another piece that addresses Montreal's need for more size in their forward group. Malhotra is the intelligent, two-way center with elite playmaking ability, precisely the type of player Montreal needs to build depth down the middle. None of these players are reaches. None of them are projects. All three are showing legitimate NHL upside right now, and all three fit specific needs within Montreal's organizational structure. The 2026 draft is still months away, but the foundation is being laid right now. Every shift at the CHL Prospect Games matters. Every goal, every assist, every defensive play is being cataloged by scouts from all 32 NHL teams. And you can bet Montreal's contingent is watching these three players with particular interest. The CHL Prospect Games are just the beginning of the evaluation process. These players will be watched intensely for the rest of the season, at international tournaments, at the NHL Combine, and through countless hours of video review. But here's what Montreal needs to understand. If these three players continue their current trajectories, they won't be available late in the first round. Belchetz could easily climb into the top 15. Roobroeck's proven production and size will attract attention from teams picking in the teens. Malhotra's complete game and hockey IQ will have him rising up boards as the season progresses. The Canadiens' draft position will depend on how the season plays out. But regardless of where they pick, these three names should be prominently featured in their draft discussions. They represent different paths to the same destination, building a championship-caliber roster that can compete with the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Montreal's rebuild has been methodical, sometimes frustrating, but undeniably strategic. The pieces are coming together. Slavkovsky is developing. Demidov is dominating in Russia. Laine Hudson is exceeding expectations. And the pipeline continues to fill with talent. Adding one or more of these players in 2026 could accelerate that timeline significantly. Imagine Belchetz on a line with Suzuki, using his size to create space while finishing chances. Imagine Roobroeck on the power play, establishing net front presence while contributing secondary scoring. Imagine Malhotra running a second line, controlling play through intelligence and vision while contributing on both special teams. These aren't pipe dreams. These are realistic projections based on what these players are showing right now. The CHL Prospect Games are offering Montreal a preview of what could be available in 2026, and Ivan Belchetz, Ryan Roobroeck, and Caleb Malhotra are three players who should absolutely be on the Canadiens' radar. They bring different skill sets, different playing styles, and different projections, but all three fit within Montreal's organizational philosophy and address specific needs within their prospect pool. The draft is still months away, but the evaluation process is happening right now. Every shift matters. Every game matters. Every showcase event matters. And for Montreal, who's building something special through the draft and development, identifying the right players at events like this could be the difference between a good rebuild and a great one. The future is being written right now on junior ice across Canada. The Canadiens need to make sure they're paying attention. What do you think? Which of these three prospects would fit best in Montreal's system? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to smash that like button if you're as excited about the Canadiens' future as we are. Let's keep this conversation going. Who else should Montreal be watching at the CHL Prospect Games?